Verse 18, sages see with an equal eye a learned and humble Brahmin, a cow, an elephant, or even a dog or an outcast. When a person reaches a level of wisdom, as described in the previous verses, then the consequences are described in this verse. Look at the last word of this verse. So Shri Krishna uses the word samadarshina, meaning seeing with an equal eye. This is a very beautiful verse. Narsi Mehta sang the bhajan, Vaishnav Janto, with the following verses. Vaishnav Janto tene kahiyete, pir parahi jane re, par dukhe upkar kare, toye man abhiman na anare. Meaning, he is a true Vaishnav who knows and feels another's woes as his own. While he serves those who are suffering, he doesn't entertain pride in his mind about it. He also says later in the bhajan, Samadrashti ne trushna tyagi pari stri jene matare, meaning, viewing everyone equally, he rids himself of covetousness and reveres every woman as though she were his mother. Samadrashti, the last word of this verse, is a very important concept that the Gita tries to teach us. First of all, the material world we see contains many divisions. Some people are tall, some people are short. Some people are poor, some people are rich. Some people are black, some people are white. Some people have good qualities, some people have bad qualities. Some people are wise, some people are ignorant. We see many different types of people. Our vision is such that we create divisions in the world. As soon as someone comes in front of us, then we categorize that person. If the person comes in front of us, then we ourselves determine whether he's good or bad. We merely make that decision. There are so many divisions running in the mind at the same time. The mind is like scissors and keeps cutting straight away. If someone comes in front of us, then we determine whether they're good looking or not. We immediately create that division. We make divisions in whether someone is ours or not, whether someone is a relative or not. We make a division whether someone is rich or poor. We immediately create the difference. We created so many pots of divisions and we put each of them in a different drawer. Our vision is such that we create divisions. What is the reason for this? The reason is that we only see pratyaksha, meaning that which is in front of our eyes, and we do not see apatraksha, meaning that which is not in front of our eyes. We do not see the apatraksha, that is not in front of our eyes, inside the pratyaksha, that is which is in front of the eyes. We do not see the abstract inside the concrete. Our perception is limited to sensual perception. We only see what the senses see. If our senses don't show it to us, then we don't see it. That is why our vision creates divisions. A wise person sees beyond the senses. He also sees the apatraksha. Some people have made fun of the Gita after reading this verse. They ask how a wise person can see a Brahmin, a cow, and a dog as the same. The wise person knows the difference between these. If a materialistic person can see the differences, then how can a wise person not see the differences? They know that an elephant is a large animal and that it can lift heavy loads. Wise people understand this. Wise people know that dogs can guard houses and that cows give us milk. The wise person does not say that they have the exact same characteristics, and so the cow will look after the house and the god will give us milk. A wise person never says this. He knows. People ask questions like this, and so I have to explain it. A wise person knows the differences. If a material person can make distinctions clearly between these, then how can a wise person also not do this? A wise person is not backwards when compared to material people, but a wise person is greater than material people. However, a wise person can see the similarities in things that apparently look different to the eyes. Narsi Mehta was a living and breathing Vedanti. If Vedanta feels difficult in Sanskrit, and if one wishes to learn Vedanta in simple language, they should read Narsi Mehta. Narsi Mehta had not done a PhD in Vedanta, but there's never been a Vedanti like him. He described it to all so simply. Narsi Mehta said, Akhil Brahman ma ek tu Shri Hari, Jujve Rupe Ananta Base, Dema Dev tu Tattva me Tej tu, Shunya me Shabda Thai Ved Base. Meaning, O Hari, O God, you are the only one in the whole universe. You take many different forms in this world. You are the God residing in the body and the light in spirituality. There is nothing one can create the words that form the language of the Vedas. He then says further, Veto em vade shuti smruti sakde, kanak kundal vishe bed noye, ghat gariya pachi nam rup judva, ante tu hem nu hem hoy. Meaning, the Vedas are furthered by the branches of the Shrutis, which means scriptures that are heard, and Smritis, which are scriptures that are remembered. And just like there are no differences between earrings and necklaces, they're molded differently and given different names, but in the end, they're made out of the same gold. The scriptures tell us the different types, or the ornaments can teach us a lot about wisdom. Rings are worn on the fingers, bracelets are worn on the hand, and necklaces are worn on the neck. But in the end, they're all made out of the same gold. When you go to the jeweler, he doesn't look at the mold of the jewelry, but the gold that the jewelry is made of. In the end of all of it is made out of gold. In the same way, a wise person is someone that is awakened. Jagine joto jagat dishe nahi, ungma apata bhog base, chit chaitanya tadrupe, brahman latka kare brahman pase. When I awaken, then I see that there's nobody left. In my sleep, all I could see was objects. The consciousness has the form of being different, but in reality, the seer is Brahman, God, that being seen is Brahman, God, and everything taking place is Brahman, God. That is the sight that a wise person has. Shri Krishna says in the 24th verse of the 4th chapter of the Gita, Brahmarpanam Brahma Havir, Brahmagna Brahmana Hutam, Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. The act of offering is God, the oblation of God is God, by God it is offered into the fire of God. God is that which is to be attained by him who realizes God in his works. A wise person sees everything in the world as Brahman, God. This is his vision. The scriptures give different meanings to the word Samadarshan. First of all, in chapter 6 of the Gita, Shri Krishna describes a person with this quality as Atma Upamanena Savatya Yapashtaman Yapashati, meaning he sees with equality everything in an image of his own self. Therefore, Shri Krishna has defined Samadarshan as seeing one's own self in everything. Secondly, commentators say that Samadarshan is Brahma Darshan, meaning seeing Brahman, God in everyone. Such a person sees God in everyone. This is Samadarshan. This person sees Brahman residing in everyone and everything, in both individuals and souls. We saw earlier that an individual is a soul, but a sleeping soul, whereas a soul is an individual awakened in Brahman. A wise person sees this. He experiences the greatness of Brahman in everyone. In particular, when we're looking at it from the background of the Gita, the reason why this message is being given to Arjun, then this message of Samadarshan is very important. Arjun has slipped and has become despondent because he's lost his Samadarshi, seeing with the equal eye. The statements that Arjun makes towards the end of the first chapter and at the beginning of the second chapter are that these people on the other side of the battlefield are his own people, and so he can't possibly kill them. That's why Arjun has become partial. Until now he's fought many battles, but Arjun has never before questioned why he could kill these people. The question was not why he should kill them, but why he should kill his own people. That is why he was incongruent. It was in order to remove this incongruence that Shri Krishna told him to be Samadarshi, to see with the equal eye. Arjun should only look at who is not following the path of Dharma, and he should aim to kill them. A person that follows the path of Dharma must be even-minded and Samadarshi. Arjun was protecting Dharma. In the Yathur Veda, it is said very nicely that Ye Purusham Brahma Viduhu Te Viduhu Parameshta, meaning one who sees Brahman in other human beings can see the Brahman residing in them. While one can't see the Supreme Soul in other human beings and in the whole world, then one cannot attain the Supreme Truth. The great thing is that the word Samadarshi, seeing everyone equally, is used, and not the word Samavartina, which means behaving with everyone equally. Therefore, it means that you should see everyone equally, but not that you should treat everyone equally. This is because behavior towards others can never be the same. Behavior is always going to be different. Treatment of others is always going to be different. In the Tattva Upadesh, Srimad Adi Shankaracharya has said very clearly how equality should be applied. Bhavad Vaitam Sada Kurya Kriya Tvaitam Kutrachit, meaning the feeling is the same, but the action is not the same. The feeling towards others in the heart is the same, but the behavior is not the same. If you behave in the same way towards everyone, there will be a lot of confusion. When a man comes into contact with a woman, there are 5 relations: mother, sister, wife, daughter, or friend. Mother, sister, wife, daughter, or friend, or acquaintance. If a man is in front of these 5 types of women, then his behavior towards all of them is going to be different. he touches his mother's feet. He gives feelings towards his sister. He loves his wife. He advises his daughter and is friendly towards his friend or acquaintance. All these behaviors are different. What if someone took the wrong meaning of Samadarshana and starts doing Samavardhana? Then he'll behave the same with his mother as he does with his sister, and behave same way with his wife as he does with his neighbor's daughter, and confusion will arise. What if he behaves in the same way with his neighbor as he does with his wife? Then both the neighbor and the wife will come to beat him. This cannot happen. Samavardhana cannot happen. Samadarshana should happen. The person behaves differently when these 5 relations, but at the same time, he sees the Supreme Being in all 5 of these people. Only when one does Samadarshana does his life become beautiful. One must keep differences. God is in fire and also in flowers, but the God in flowers can be kept in a front pocket of someone's suit, and the God of fire should be prayed to from a distance. One sees God in both these things. There's a very nice story in the Upanishads of how people do this. There's a Brahmin who kept a cow and got milk out of a cow, but he would never feed the cow grass. The cow worked hard all day and grew skinnier every day. One time he was walking with a cow and hit it with a stick. He incurred the sin of killing a cow. The gods of death came to take him. Killing cows was the biggest sin, and they were therefore taking him to hell. The Brahmin was very intelligent and very learned. He asked them why they were taking him to hell. They told him that because he had killed a cow. He told them that he had not killed a cow because the hand held the stick and killed the cow, and Indra, who is the king of the gods, is a god of the hand, and therefore they should go to catch Indra. Indra governs the hand and is the lord of the hand. He told them to go and tell this to Indra. The gods of death went to Indra and told him that this Brahmin was telling them all of this and that they should take him. Indra asked them why this was so and why they should take him. He told them to give him time. 2 or 4 days went, and one morning Indra took the form of a Brahmin and went to visit this Brahmin. The Brahmin was pouring water in the plants of the beautiful garden outside his house. Indra, in the form of the Brahmin, told him, "Wow, you've got such a beautiful garden and very nice flowers have bloomed there. Who's done all of this?" The Brahmin told him, "I've done all of this. I did a lot of hard work with my hands. I dug the spade in the soil, I planted the seeds, and I poured this water from my own hands." As soon as the Brahmin mentioned his hands, then Indra called the gods of death, and they came to take the Brahmin away. If the garden was created using his hands, then how could Indra have killed the cow that this Brahmin had beaten with his own hands? How could this work? If you want to take responsibility, then take responsibility for everything. If you don't want to take responsibility, then say that Indra did everything, including creating the garden. Wise people are Samadarshi. What are the benefits of Samadarshan? There are many benefits. First of all, if one sees the Supreme Soul everywhere, then his state of mindness and ownership over the world will be healed, and he will have an attitude of service. This is the first benefit of Samadarshan. I am not the owner of the world, and the world is not for me. The world is for the Supreme Soul. I can see the Supreme Soul everywhere, and that is why I have an attitude of service. Secondly, egotism goes away. If one sees God everywhere, then where can egotism reside? A person always thinks that he is doing the work of God. Sam dohi tarang kochit api samudrohe tarang, meaning the waves that come over the ocean are of the ocean, but the ocean can never be of the waves. And one sees this, then the egotism goes away. When egotism goes away, then one becomes faultless because one's sins are reduced. If one can see the Supreme Soul everywhere, then he won't commit any sins. If a common man knows that God resides in a temple, then if he's arriving there smoking a cigarette, then he'll throw it away before climbing the steps of the temple. He'll then go inside the temple and pray to God. As soon as he comes out, then he would light his cigarette again. If someone asks him why he didn't smoke the cigarette inside the temple, then he'll say because God is there. If God is inside the temple, then why is he not outside of it? If his feeling is that God is inside the temple, and therefore he stops before doing anything wrong, then if he sees God everywhere, then his sins will reduce. That is why he becomes faultless. The fourth benefit is that one's bondages are reduced. The person becomes free from bondage, and as a consequence, he attains liberation. Samadarshana, seeing everything equally. I also say another small thing. It says in this verse, a learned and humble Brahmin. It said in this verse, and this shows the completeness of Brahmins. When can a Brahmin become complete? I've described it in detail, and it comes up in chapter 18 of the Gita. The qualities of a Brahmin are described in that chapter. A Brahmin, of course, has wisdom, but he must also have courtesy. Wisdom and courtesy go hand in hand, and they must go hand in hand, because as soon as knowledge comes, then egotism comes with it. Knowledge is a very dangerous thing. No other possessions lead to as much egotism as does knowledge. A person can have egotism because they're beautiful, but this does not last because they know that they're beautiful now because they're young, but after 20 or 30 years, their hair will turn grey and they'll have wrinkles everywhere and the beauty will go away. The egotism will go away with that as well. The egotism of wealth does not last very long, neither does the egotism of power. The latter is particularly true in democracy. The person has come into power, but he knows after 5 years he'll be up for re-election. But the egotism that arises from knowledge is very big. A person that has courtesy along with this knowledge is a complete Brahmin. Once a person has Samadarshan, then one of course has to see all things in the world equally, but first the Samadarshan should begin in one's own body. You can have a different type of behavior to different parts of the body, but just in the same way, we don't create divisions between different beings. In the same way, Jepinde te Brahmande, meaning everything that is made of matter is also Brahman. There are different parts of the body, and you can have different purposes and behaviors. There are the eyes, nose, mouth, etc. Let alone the other parts of the body. If you show each of the 5 fingers, then the functions keep changing. If you show the thumb and index finger, then both their purposes are different. If you show each of the fingers, then all their purposes are different. If the purposes are different, then their behavior will be different. If each of the fingers have different behaviors, then all the parts of the body also have different behaviors. But if there is one pain in one of those parts, then the whole body will feel it. You cannot say that if your little finger goes, then it won't make any difference to you. The pain will be the same everywhere. If any part of the body has pain, then in order to kill that body part, we make a lot of efforts. All the pleasures and pains of the body belong to every part of the body. In the same way, a person who understands the pain of each and every part of the world, including humans, birds, animals, microbes, and so on, is a Samadarshana. I like the word Samadarshana so much. It's a very high level. If every person in the world becomes Samadarshana, then there won't be any conflicts. There will be no need for the police and no armies, because if everyone became Samadarshana, this is because he sees no differences in people and just sees God in everyone. In politics today, people are making claims of being Samadarshana, seeing with the equal eye. They keep promising that they'll see everyone equally, but this is creating more divisions. There's a political group that opposes the caste system. They say the caste system created inequalities and sold society. They say that they'll bring equality in society. How can a politician bring equality? And that Indian politicians. They can never do so. What is going on is that people are dividing people into higher castes and lower castes and stirring opposition between them. In reality, there is nobody in a higher caste nor in a lower caste. The people that have created those differences are wrong. When this system of varnas, meaning color, not caste, is created, people were not divided into 4 steps. In fact, there were 4 people sat together at a dining table together. It was a horizontal division and not a vertical division. But people created these vertical divisions. Maybe 500 years ago, some people stirred those higher castes and lower castes. Note the inverted commas. These had bad consequences, and the same mistake is being made by politicians today who are claiming to create equality in society. They're saying that the higher castes have been living for a while until now, and therefore they should give everything away. Then the pendulum will go in the other direction. This does not lead to equality. Read the Vedas and read what the rishis said. They are not creating conflicts in society. They say, Sarvatra sukshina shantu, sarve shanto niramyaha, sarve badrani pashyanto, makshashit dukha bhag pave. Everyone has a right to be happy. Everyone has a right to be healthy. Everybody should look after each other's welfare and for the best of others. Nobody should have any sorrows. This is a very great thing, and Samadarshana comes into it. This is Samadarshana. Nowhere have they said that only Brahmins can be happy and the Shudras, laborers, can never be happy. They never even say that Kshatriyas, warriors, can have power and that Vaishyas can have business only. Our rishis have said that everyone has the right to be happy and nobody should be unhappy. A sage sees with the equal eye how can one attain this state, what one must do in order to achieve this state, Shri Krishna shows us in the next verse.